In the century that filmmakers have been creating movies, a common storyline has involved the Catholic Church in one way or another. From 1928's The Passion of Joan of Arc to The Song of Bernadette in 1943, The Bells of St. Mary's in 1945, The Exorcist in 1973, and 2004's The Passion of the Christ. Hollywood has made an art of depicting Catholicism, sometimes delighting church leaders, and sometimes drawing scorn from them. For decades, the U.S. Bishop's Catholic Film Office had a great deal of influence into the content of Hollywood films to help ensure their moral standards shone through. As the 1960s saw an influx of European and independent films emerge, the culture began to change. By the 1970s, the Catholic influence on film appeared to diminish.
They lost that influence. In the late 60s, they still were able to avoid a condemned rating, but I'm sure they lost it in the 70s. As I was leaving NCOMP and on through the 70s, I think they lost any ability to convince the studios to make any changes or cuts. Now that kind of thing is just up to the producers or the studio distributing the movie, whether they think it'll hurt their box office.
The movie studios had once provided the Catholic Film Office with private advanced screenings of their films, but that too became increasingly rare.
The screenings got to be fewer and fewer in the late 70s, and then we got the announcement, of course, that our services were no longer needed.
Over the years, the Catholic Film Office shrunk in size and went through a string of name changes to more accurately depict its mission.
So in 1965, the National Legion of Decency became the National Catholic Office for Motion Pictures. About 1972, that was changed to the Division for Film and Broadcasting. Maybe 2 years later, it became the Office for Film and Broadcasting. I don't think that represented any change of approach or, substantial, it just sounded better or whatever. And then it remained that until 2010, when we switched to become part of Catholic News Service, and it became the Media Review Office of Catholic News Service. There has been a relationship between Catholic News Service and the Legion and its subsequent organizations from pretty much the start. Because what would happen is that when the Legion had reached its decision on how to classify films for that week, let's say, it would issue a weekly list of the classifications of the films that had recently come out. And that would be distributed through Catholic News Service. So the client papers of Catholic News Service would then reprint the list of classifications. Now they would also be put up in parish halls and things like that, but I suspect it reached the most people through the participation and cooperation of Catholic News Service. So that's been ongoing. And then in subsequent years when the reviews began, they've always been distributed by Catholic News Service. And so the client papers would be free to publish those or not, but it was part of the package for clients of Catholic News Service.
Though the Catholic Film Office may not have the same kind of influence with Hollywood studios, its ratings and reviews remain one of the most popular items Catholic News Service provides its subscribers, mainly Catholic newspapers and magazines.
I certainly believe that our reviews are relevant today, and I think primarily for two groups of people. One would be the parents who have underage kids who want guidance about exactly what their child will see if they go to this movie. The other area is adult Catholics who specifically want to avoid certain things. I think it's helpful that we're engaging with the film in the overall assessment of, is this film one that upholds gospel values or contradicts gospel values?